So Soloviev, 20 years old. Looking at his record, he boxed for Russia as an amateur. It's a very difficult team to break into, of course, and I noticed a couple of defeats he had to a fighter called Evgeny Kool, who I've seen a little bit of. I remember him from the World Championships in 2021. He's faced him a couple of times recently. Lost both of those two, but Kool, as I say, a good fighter.
Здесь готовится к началу поединка 21-летний боксер из Назрани, Республики Ингушетия. Его рост 177 сантиметров, вес 65 килограммов ровно. Он выходит на свой второй профессиональный бой и настроен решительно. Ислам Калоев! Ровно по диагонали в золотом углу ринга мастер спорта России по боксу международного класса. Ему 20 лет. Его рост 182 сантиметра, вес так же, как и у соперника, 65 килограммов. Перед вами серебряный призер чемпионата России 23-го года. Финалист игр стран БРИКС. Обладатель Кубка мира. Победитель первенства России среди молодежи 24-го года. И сегодня его профессиональный дебют из Сочи. Карен Соловьев. И с ударом гонга третий джентльмен в ринге Виктор Панин.
Господа боксеры, прошу вас. Палец на голову не идем, ниже пояса не бьем. Слушаем мои команды. С вами удачи, пожали руки. По углам. Синий угол, готовы? Красный угол, готовы?
So there's the tail of the tape. This set at 63.5 kilos. Soloviev in the white, Koloev in the black.
You can see already, Andy, Soloviev coming out looking to get behind that jab. Quite authoritative from the middle of the ring. You can tell he comes from a little momentary pause in production.
Just kind of pouring at the canvas there. I think he maybe slipped on one of the transfers. You do see that every now and again, and early stages here. Soloviev's looking to try and get forward and kind of pour in behind that 1-2. He's a tall, rangy kind of a guy, isn't he? He's got a real wingspan on him.
Just needs to be wary of just standing up a little bit too upright though, Andy. He's got that range and that length in the lead hand, but been clipped a couple of times on the way in.
Is set for 6 rounds. Koloev just trying to sling that right hand over the top. He's got Soloviev just looking to try and take that space continually. Threw a decent left hand there as he was on the move, Koloev, but they've already got the look of not desperation exactly, these punches he's throwing, but he's being backed up around the ring and he's just trying at the moment to keep Soloviev off him. I think it might prove quite a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, these are stiff shots from Soloviev. You can hear them, the impact of them landing on Koloev.
Decent uppercut there from Soloviev, who then just plants that jab.
There it is again. Good left hook to the body.
That was a decent shot, just twisted off to his left-hand side, got good rotation in it. Minute remaining in round 1, and Koloev has had to work hard here for these opening 2 minutes.
Yes, as you said, Andy, it's kind of get away from me punches that are coming back at the minute. It's not really enough to deter Soloviev on the front foot. Just breathing heavily as well there, Koloev, which not the best sign. Just over 2 minutes into the opening round, there's that jab again. Good left hook.
And that really rocked him back onto his heels there as he looks to try and finish the round strong here, Soloviev.
Just starting to get a little bit ragged now, Koloev. Wasn't far away from that right hand.
And there's that left into the body again there. Final few seconds of round 1, and he's put in some very solid groundwork there, Karen Soloviev. Found the target a number of times, up to the head but down to the body, particularly towards the end of the round with that left hand, just getting good rotation into it, dipping off to his left hand side and finding the target. And this is going to be hard work, I think, for Islam Koloev.
Ramrod jab. As I said, you can see really from the opening 30 seconds that Soloviev does have that well-schooled sort of Soviet-style amateur background. Everything that lands has got that solid sound to it. And Koloev already getting a leg massage after round one. He's going to have to go some, I think, to see the end of round two.
I think it depends to an extent on what Soloviev wants here. This is a professional debut, so he will want a stoppage, but he is a fairly experienced amateur, and you can tell that from watching him fight, not just with the technique, but just with how calm he's been here. If he wants to do this in a hurry, I think he probably can, but I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to take his time over it a little bit more. What I like about that jab is that there's no real tell. He's just in and out with the feet there, just kind of messing with the distance of Koloev, who, when you look at him, he either needs to be all the way out, I think, or all the way in. If he gets caught in that middle distance, then he's got some real problems.
There's that left hook to the body again. Soloviev really starting to dig those in. Just like to see him maybe feint a little bit more on the front foot. It's all a little bit in straight lines at the minute. I don't think he's particularly worried with what's coming back. There's another good left hook sinks into the body.
No, I make you right. I don't think he's bothered at all about what is heading back in his direction from Islam Koloev. You don't want to be careless, but at the same time, winning fights is about taking the most direct route from A to B, and if your opponent can't really hurt you, if that's what you're thinking, and you want to get the job done nice and quick, then you're not going to have any respect for what he's got to say for himself, really, midway through round two.
Good right uppercut lands there, straight right hand just beforehand, and Koloev just looking a little bit in no man's land at the minute. Andy, you mentioned there about having to be all the way in or all the way out. At the minute, he is on that punching range and just takes another lead left hand to the face.
And just before that, a left to the body as well. He's found his distance pretty much from the start of the fight here, Soloviev, and there's that longish right uppercut, a right hand into the body. It's good variety, isn't it? When you look at him, he's got some natural tools because he is a tall, lean, angular kind of guy, and he uses it as well. He digs those toes in and finds good leverage.
Another good right hand there. You mentioned, Andy, there's good variety from Soloviev. He's mixing it up well to the head and body. Of course, we don't always see that from amateurs making a professional debut. Can be a little bit head happy, but he's mixed up the shots well here. Soloviev doesn't really know where they're coming from.
He's getting through the round, though, to be fair to him here. Maybe he's just getting used to the kind of stinging quality of these punches. You wouldn't say
Shot.
right on cue. That is a huge right hand that has cleaned Islam Koloev out. The commentator's curse has well and truly struck because he was just finding his way through things, and then he found a biting point on that right hand there. Absolutely perfectly. We'll get another look at that again in a few seconds, but we will see, I'm pretty sure, a textbook right hand. He sat down on it a little bit and it just sailed through in that glorious kind of shallow arc straight down the middle, and I think Koloev was just coming forward himself, coming onto it, doubling the impact, and down he went. And you could tell from the way that he went down that he wasn't going to beat the count. Credit to him for actually getting back to his feet, but
Measures him with a lead left hand and then follows all the way through with that right hand. He landed a similar shot about 45 seconds before, just again a little bit too high up there on the ropes, Koloev, and bang! They don't get much sweeter than that.
no, that was absolutely perfect. As you say, he measures it with the left. Koloev there just opening out to try and throw some kind of a left hand as he was on the ropes. There wasn't too much on that, but that left in vulnerable, really. There was a gap there for Soloviev, and he absolutely exploited it. So this is a guy with some possibilities, I think. He's got nice sharp hands, hasn't he? And he found the gaps there pretty much from the start. As we
Уважаемые
were saying,
гости
he
и
mixed it
зрители,
up.
на ваших глазах на 2 минуте 54 секунде второго раунда Виктор Панин остановил поединок. Техническим нокаутом свою первую победу в профессиональной карьере одержал Карен Соловьев, город Сочи, боксер золотого угла. Мы благодарим его соперника Ислама Калоева.
Well, that's a good win. That's an impressive professional debut. And you did say, actually, at the end of that first round, in the break between rounds, that you thought it might be a bit of a tough ask for Koloev to make it through that second round. And it absolutely proved to be the case. There's a look at the finish, just right on the chin, isn't it? Pretty much at the end of the punch as well, carrying the power right to the end of the punch.
Yeah, gets full extension on the shot. And look, when you're in there with a guy who technically is by the looks of things levels and levels above you, Koloev already started the fight pretty loose, and there was a lot of gaps in that opening, even 30 or 45 seconds. And by the end of the first round, he'd already started to slow down, and those gaps got bigger and bigger. When you're somebody like Soloviev who can punch hard through the target, that fundamental amateur style that he's got, the more you give him an opportunity and the bigger the gaps, then the more concussive the shots, as we saw there. Definitely somebody I'll be keeping an eye on now, Andy. I was impressed with that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. It's always good when you see somebody on an undercard that you haven't seen before.